Welcome to the Veriditas webinar on our pilgrimage to Iona this August. I'd like to introduce you to the Reverend Dr. Kay Mutert. She is a Veriditas master teacher, a Labyrinth workshop leader, a facilitator trainer, a speaker, a minister, a creative musician, and an author. She has led our pilgrimage to Iona for 2 years now. And so this will be our third adventure of this kind. Kay's passion is helping others find their inner song, and Kay believes that the ancient archetype of the labyrinth is right for today's world as it draws us into an embodied, nonverbal experience. She will be helping the pilgrimage discover the beauty and mystery of Iona. Assisting her is Catherine McLean. She's also a minister and a labyrinth facilitator. She assisted with the Iona pilgrimage last year. She's on the Veriditas Council and working on a thesis titled The Role of the Labyrinth in Building Community. So I'm going to turn it over to Kay and Catherine to lead you into the mystery of Iona.
Thank you, Dawn, so much. Greetings to all of you who have joined us. Kathy and I are so glad to be with you this evening and talk with you about a place that's very dear to our hearts. And that's a place called Iona, a little island off of the west coast of Scotland. So that's what we'll be looking at this night, to let you see what's there should you come. Walking an ancient path, a journey to a thin place. Iona is known as a thin place, a place where there's very little space between the eternal and the material, between earth and heaven. And pilgrims have been going there for centuries. Unlike mere travel, a pilgrimage is a journey into the landscape of the soul. So, like the dear seagull that's sitting there, you may be pondering, should I take this trip? Should I go on this journey? How far will it be? How will I get there? What will I find when I get there? What lies ahead? What are the possibilities that might happen for me on this pilgrimage? And so we invite you to enter into journey and to think about joining us in this tiny little island, not so easy to get to. The journey is a part of the adventure itself. But for now, let's begin by looking at what Iona holds for you, for us as pilgrims on a journey. Iona is a small island, only 3.5 miles long and 1.5 miles wide. But for modern pilgrims today, it's the same as Columba, who said, "Small and simple this place shall be, yet it shall hold an unusual honor in all of time." And it has done that. So Columba landed on the southern shore, where he could no longer see Ireland, and then he came around and landed up in this area, and he settled his group and his people in this very area of the little island. When you and I come, we will come from the Isle of Mull, and we will come by way of ferry to the landing, the jetty it's called, where the small village outlines the edge of the waters. And during the week while we are there, we'll travel this road by foot to the north shore. Beautiful, beautiful spot that we'll see more of in our slide presentation tonight. Our lodging will be in this area, right in here in the central area. The Abbey is right up in this place. We will be traveling down the road, the black line, until we come to the bay at the back of the ocean, the pasture, the sheep pasture, which is also the golf course on Iona. And so we'll be walking across there and spending time in that particular area. Our pilgrimage, and you, when you want to walk on your own, will be traveling to the south end of Iona, where Columbus Bay is, and where the labyrinth, the stone labyrinth is that we'll be walking and you're seeing pictures of. So to get in your minds, where are you going? What's going to be there when you get there? A tiny island, and yet full of heritage, full of meaning, full of story, citizens and communities there throughout the centuries. Should you choose to come, and on this adventure, welcome to Iona. I want to pause and say it's so good to have Kathy working with us again this year. And Kathy, I invite you at any time, if you want to add some comments and some thoughts, you're welcome to do that. This is the area, the village area, where we'll land on the jetty and see the single line of houses that are here, or perhaps in the distance you will see the Abbey up to the right as we are landing. It'll be one of the first things that you'll see when you get to the area. When you have arrived, the daily rhythm of life is there on this small island. The rising of the sun on the east coast, and in the evening, the setting sun on the west coast. There are not many places that you can see the sun rise and the sun set all in one day's time and all in one distance of 1.5 miles apart. Such a remarkable setting and a remarkable situation. When the skies are clear, there's nothing more beautiful than the sunrise and the sunset. During the nights, we'll be staying at the beautiful St. Columba Hotel, which looks out on the bay back to Mull. We're facing east right now as you're looking at these pictures, and so that's where you'll see the sun rise. Kathy will say more, and you'll have a chance to learn more about the Columba, but it's an exquisite hotel with organic food that's served in a beautiful sort of way, lovely setting for tea, for conversations, and so it's a joy to be staying at the Columba Hotel this year. So what's the flow of the week? We arrive on Tuesday, and we begin at 6 p.m. for dinner. Wednesday through Friday, we're involved in our programming, and then we depart Sunday morning following breakfast. In those full days, we'll have mornings for meeting together, for telling story, for sharing in conversation our own stories as we learn about the Celtic story. The afternoons will be shaped around personal reflection time, around some journeys to parts of the island, perhaps building a labyrinth, or visiting a particular place you would like to visit, or spending time on your own writing and journaling. There will be some options there for you to choose from. The evenings then, we come back for wonderful meals there at the hotel, beautifully presented meals where we share around the table about our day and our reflections on the topic of the day, or our reflections on what we've experienced that day in this beautiful place. During our days, we'll have a guided tour of Iona Abbey by a local guide who has all the end stories to tell us of the many citizens of all the centuries of Iona and the many twists and turns of the little abbey there, and she's a delight to have, and you will enjoy her. There will be options for worship at the Abbey also. You will be free to attend worship or to have your own time of meditation during the day. Kathy, do you want to add anything about the flow at this time?
Well, I would just mention that the opportunities to be around the Abbey present opportunities for hearing beautiful music, for tours of that space that give an inkling about the history and give some beautiful senses of how the international Iona community, the community that lives in residence, and the community of people that come in and out of that community function and work and live together with a mission that is international in scope, and it is a beautiful community to begin to get to know.
We hopefully will have one of the members of the community speak with us. I'm an associate, a former associate of the community, and we'll share more about that in my time at the Abbey. After some of the evening services, there's a possibility of actually sharing coffee and tea with the members of the community also. So they're wonderful sharing experiences all around. Another part of the beauty is sharing with the village members, the community that lives there all the time in the village itself. One word about facilitator training, and then we'll go on to look at our time on the island. The facilitators training will start on Saturday, but it will begin Saturday at noon, and then it will be Saturday and Sunday, and then there will be departures on Monday morning. We're controlled by the rhythms of the ferries and the tides, and that's a wonderful way to be, cut off where you can't just hop in your car and go. And so a part of our time on Iona will be changing tempo, changing rhythm, finding the rhythm of the hours of worship and finding the rhythm of the community that lives there, where everything shuts down and gets quiet in the night, and people are bound by the water. So we'll begin to know the island. We'll get to know its history, its people, its village, such as the scene in the upper corner is a picture into the burial place, they say, of Macbeth and other kings of Iona. And you have the chance to wander through these beautiful places of the village, or to pause and have your lunch sitting on the shore as you look out on the boats of the village folks who are there, or to converse with them in the different stores and shops that you'll be attending, and as a part of pilgrimage as well as shopping time. Or you can travel such as this direction to the North Shore and see the beauty of the shores that are there, to walk among the beauty of the inhabitants, such as the sheep that we were standing right among as we walked, and to let them converse with you and talk with you through their bleats and their bears, and to hear the sounds of nature throughout this place. We will spend time, as Kathy said, at the Abbey, getting to know and hear about it. We'll approach on this road, which is the road of the dead, the highway of the dead, of the kings that were, as they were brought upon their burial sites to the Abbey, and then buried in that little burial ground, which we just saw at St. Orange Chapel. We'll learn about the symbolism of the Abbey, the story of the history of the Abbey, which definitely includes the high crosses of Iona, the means of communication for the early Celtic spiritual Christians to communicate their stories through images and through beauty. And you'll see that great beauty reflected through the jewelry that you'll find in the shops and the galleries and the museums that are there also, as you learn about these ancient high crosses. It may be that you find the nunnery is one of your favorite places and you want to spend time in the nunneries. One of my favorite places, the roof was not put back on, it was not rebuilt in fullness, and I think there's a great beauty and openness about that. We spend a good bit of time in the nunnery having meals or sharing or even dancing and forming circles and talking with other pilgrims who are there along the way. Again, the story of these unnamed women who dedicated their lives to this place, who were buried there, and whose spirit still walks there, may be what touches your spirit in your story and your time there. One day we'll take a pilgrimage to the Labyrinth on the south shore, the stone labyrinth, which is there. It's not an ancient labyrinth, but it's been set by ancient stone in ancient land, and it has a beautiful antiquity about it. First, we have to walk across the Macaire, the sheep pasture, the golf course, where there we can face the beauty of the bay at the back of the ocean. And there we spend time on your own, walking, having your lunch, collecting stones, perhaps releasing a stone, releasing something that you want to leave in the bay there. Collecting the stones and walking quietly with partners or newly found friends. Gathering your stones where you want to build our cairn together as we share names, or we share memories, or we share story of the cairn that we leave on the side of the bay at the back of the ocean, like pilgrims of all time. Then we continue our journey to the south side of the island, where we have to go off the road, out of the pasture, up into some hilly land, climbing straight up, and then finally reaching the peak where we can see Columbus Bay and we can see that South Sea. And we go down a steep incline until we come to the beautiful classical labyrinth that's placed right there facing the ocean. And we pilgrims of today spend time there together on this beautiful shore, collecting rocks, walking the labyrinth, journaling, having joyful occasion to celebrate. And then when the time is done, we have to return and go back up the hill and recall and reflect the meaning of this beautiful pilgrimage day, where we have learned about the island history and story, the myths, the legends that are there, and we've made our own stories in our journey. And at the end of the day, another beautiful sunset where we share a meal, we reflect what the day meant to us, and perhaps we have time to go out in the evening and watch the sun set on the West Coast. One day we will be creating a labyrinth on the North Shore. You saw pictures of that earlier, and this is, as we approach, again, you see the beauty of the colors of the ocean. You see the islands in the distance, including Staffa Island there. And you can see where these pilgrims of last year built their own labyrinths. We built one to walk with the whole group, and then several built their own labyrinths on the shore, and even practiced learning how to draw them. Another time, a special time for these pilgrims, and as you build the labyrinth there, then eventually the water comes in, and the tides take the materials of the labyrinth and the pattern of the labyrinth back out into the ocean. Or perhaps it's Martyrs Bay you find the beauty. This particular scene and group, you see the rainbow that's there, and it was so special to have a rainbow come out one day. And this is the facilitator training group who went to this beach and with seaweed and with markings in the light and the beauty of the bay and the rainbow, which stayed with us, built the labyrinth to walk and celebrate the training time together, and then watch the sun backlight the sky, and then to watch the clouds, the sky turn into evening shades, to walk the labyrinth one last time together and watch as the tides came in and washed the seaweed, the labyrinth out. But memory remains. And again, another evening ending. In solitude or community, this tiny isle holds sacred space for all, for whatever your intention and hope is for our time together. There is time and there is space to communicate, to share it, for solitude. Kathy, I'll invite you to add any other comments that you want, and then to share with us your words about, as a modern pilgrim, a part of this experience is the journey itself. So I'll turn it to you now.
Thank you, Kay. I'd like to just start by saying that the times that I have been able to spend on the island of Iona and the time that I have spent getting there has been very precious in my life. First, I went as a seminary student studying worship and community in this international environment. And then as a support person for Kay on last year's Veriditas pilgrimage during a very difficult time of transition in my own life. I found it a healing space, a beautiful gathering of community with the pilgrims that came for this pilgrimage from all over the world. And so it was a temporary gathered community that now has extended itself after the pilgrimage to staying in touch with one another. My last name is McLean, and many of my ancestors are buried near St. Oran's Chapel, near the Abbey, and on the Isle of Mull, which is one of the ways in which we get to Iona. And so for me, there's some deep ancestral roots in this beautiful land of sea and sky and water and beautiful people. I'd like to just go over a few logistics that are important as you plan for this trip. And as Kay said, the travel journey to Iona is part of the pilgrimage experience. There are multiple modes of transportation that are required to arrive on the beautiful far western island of Iona, and each leg of the journey is a part of your preparation for being there. You may want to allow yourself to let the land and the sea and the different legs of the journey act as preparation. The first leg of your journey will likely be by air if you are not in the UK, and if you are flying, you will most likely fly into either Glasgow or Edinburgh. Those are the closest airports to the city, the seaside city of Oban, O-B-A-N. And so you will fly into those airports most likely, and you will get a train from that point via a cab. Take a quick cab ride from the airport to the train to take you to Oban. It's about a 3-hour absolutely beautiful train ride through the countryside of Scotland. The second leg of your journey is arriving in Oban, the city, and you have a choice at that point to stay in Oban overnight, which is a beautiful little port city where there are plenty of bed and breakfasts and restaurants and beautiful shops and beautiful scenery. To stay the night and then travel the next day across the Sound to Mull, or you can do it all in one day. It's just, well, we can send you more logistical information about the specifics of doing it in one day. But once you get to Oban, it turns out that it's right next to the ferry terminal. So it's not hard to find if you are going straight from the train to the ferry. And so that next leg is from Oban on the ferry across the Sound of Mull, which is about 40 minutes. And you'll arrive in the little port city of Craignor that is on the island of Mull. And if you choose to, you can meet me on Tuesday at the ferry terminal, and I will be there with a Veriditas sign and gather our group for those who want to travel together on the ferry across the water to Mull. If you would like to do this on your own, you certainly are welcome, and we will send you links to all of the ways to get tickets and time schedules for these various legs of the journey. Once we get to the island of Mull, get off the ferry, we will board a large van if you choose to go as a group, or if you're on your own, you will take a bus, and the buses and the taxis are right there, and that you can get tickets there as well, and it will take you across the full length of the island of Mull to our next port, which is called Finnefort. And it's a small little village that is a 10-minute ferry ride away from Iona. So after we get to Finnefort, we will board a ferry for about 10 minutes, and then we will arrive on Iona. As Kay said, we'll be staying at the Columba Hotel. A continental breakfast will be included every day, and one of the things that you need to be prepared for are weather changes. It could be cool, warm, windy, wet, and gorgeous. So bring plenty of different things for different types of weather. As you're returning and as you are coming, it's important to remember to leave plenty of time in between your connections in case the weather changes and the ferries aren't running for a while until the seas are more calm. So just build in some time to make sure that you can make your connections. And if you would like to come a day or two early or stay later, I would be glad to give you some options for lodging on Iona as well. I think the last thing would just be to say that this is one of the most beautiful places I have ever been in the world. And the gift of community that is gathered is also the gift of being in this small town of about 100 residents that are permanent, who welcome us warmly and give us an opportunity to learn more about this precious, sacred, and ancient space.
Yes, beautiful. I appreciate everything you've said so much. And it is indeed a very special place. I know that pilgrimage brings many things, and one of the things that forms in pilgrimage are friendships. And we find that people who come on the Iona pilgrimage often wish they had stayed longer or they had come sooner, and often appreciate staying in touch with each other. Inevitably, there are a couple of other options that are there that can be options we'll post on the website, so you can see some side trips if you want. But inevitably, farewells do come. And so in the top left, you see at the jetty, the very place we landed and walked onto the island. This is a time now for people to say goodbye and farewell and to wave each other on their return journey, because as Kathy said, it is a beautiful part of the journey, the return itself. And you see on the ferry 4 folks who have become friends and who are not wanting to let go, but who are watching in the distance as they pass the lighthouse that's there, as they look out over the water, and they end our time together. There's more information on the Lincoln website that's there for you to see. I've just posted it here. But I'd like to close to say, well, to get to Iona, we hope that you consider coming. I want to share the words of one of our pilgrims from this last year, who sent us all greetings at Christmas and said, and New Year's, and said, as I approach the coming of 2016, I find myself remembering my time in Iona, filled with images of soul and spirit, sea, singing rocks, green marble pebbles, dolphins, seals, Celtic crosses, and of course sheep. This card I'm sending you seems fitting to carry the greeting to you, and I hope reminds you briefly of the beautiful and powerful place of Iona. Many days with the hectic pace of life, I find solace in these images that allow me to connect once again with the quiet places inside my spirit. I'm filled with gratitude for having had this experience, as well as quite grateful for having been with each of you. A heartfelt thanks to each of you yet once again. And closes with this blessing. May you awaken to the mystery of being here and enter the quiet immensity of your presence. May you have joy and peace in the temple of your senses. May you respond to the call and find the courage to follow its path. Thank you for letting us join you, and we hope that you will consider joining us in our journey, our pilgrimage to Iona.